Good evening and welcome to the very first edition of UBC News Tonight on the 7th of March 2026. My name is Moureen Babirye with my colleague Mohamed Mugalu on sign language. In our first report, President Museveni has taken over as chairperson of the East African Community, succeeding Kenya's President William Ruto at the 25th Ordinary Summit of Heads of State held in Arusha, Tanzania. The summit also appointed Tanzanian diplomat ambassador Stephen Patrick Mbundi as the new Secretary General of the regional bloc. Take a look.
Grateful to your excellencies for the diligent and gracious support extended to me during my tenure. When I assumed this role, I committed to prioritize key deliverables to drive our integration agenda. These include enhancing peace, security, stability, and economic development in the region, increasing intra-EAC trade and investment, strengthening private sector engagement, and the involvement of MSMEs in driving economic transformation and accelerating the inclusion and the conclusion of the East African Community European Union Economic Partnership Agreement. Additionally, I committed to address non-tariff barriers to trade by enhancing infrastructure connectivity and regulatory harmonization.
You will hand over the gavel to the incoming chair, and the chair of the EAC Summit of Heads of State, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will assume the position of the chair. Congratulations, Your Excellency.
The wages of sin is death. It says in the book of the Romans, chapter 6, verse 23. And somewhere else the Bible says, whatever a man sows, that's what he reaps. It says in the book of the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 7 to 8. By 1900, all those African kings were either dead or captured or had capitulated to subservience. They had squandered the time when they could have done the necessary changes to immunize us against domination. Ever since 1498, when Vasco da Gama passed by the East African coast, here in the Zanzibar, Mombasa, attacked Mombasa, Vasco da Gama actually attacked Mombasa and continued to India. It was a whole 402 years wasted. Those kings wasted 402 years. No.
Thank you so much for that report, and congratulations are in order for President Yoweri Museveni. Now, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has welcomed plans by South Africa's VEB Group to establish local production of biodegradable single-use sanitary pads made from banana fiber. She described the initiative as great news, noting that it will not only safeguard the hygiene and dignity of Uganda's girls, but also add value to the country's abundant agricultural resources while promoting environmental sustainability. We have a detailed report.
The VEB Group delegation presented plans to manufacture 100% natural, plastic-free and chemical-free sanitary pads using Uganda's abundant banana fiber. The proposed product, currently under research and development, will be fully biodegradable and designed for single use. It aligns with global hygiene standards while addressing environmental concerns. The brand product is being developed specifically to meet the First Lady's requirement for high-quality disposable hygiene solutions. Mrs. Museveni reaffirmed her commitment to safeguarding the dignity of Ugandan and African girls and reiterated her long-standing position against the normalization of reusable sanitary pads for African girls.
African girls and ladies should not have to be the ones to have companies that are going to manufacture reusable pads for women, just for African women. This is really very important for me, because our children are as sensitive, they are as deserving, they need these services, but we don't want to give up on the decency of using what others use. As you know, I am a mother, I have girl children. I can't see myself buying reusable pads for them. And since I can't do that for my own children, I really can't do it for any other child.
The First Lady expressed appreciation for South Africa's VEB Group's interest in investing in Uganda and contributing to the country's socio-economic transformation. She reiterated, however, that partnerships with Uganda must align with national priorities. She further reiterated the government's commitment to industrialization and value addition, particularly through skilling hubs and local manufacturing initiatives aimed at reducing imports, including furniture.
We are really a skills development company. As we train, we create industries for those people to work. We don't really train for training, but we're passionate about making sure that whoever that we train, their life changes. We do this through cooperatives, through meaningful employment. The aim, then the core of it really is to make sure that the mother or the girl child has got dignity.
VEB is a multinational company with over 25 years of experience in skills development and manufacturing, plans to establish production facilities in Uganda, and is committed to creating up to 7,500 jobs within 5 years, subject to the necessary facilitation and partnerships. VEB Group has already delivered an initial consignment of biodegradable sanitary pads and baby diapers as part of its social impact program, with future batches expected to be produced locally.
As we speak, Mama, they are delivered a total of the first consignment, a total of about 400,000 pieces of both diapers for babies. There's a general product that is for newborns that our mothers could use for their children, and then we also have the biodegradable sanitary pads, which they are donated, and their hope is that the remaining batch will be produced locally in Uganda.
Baguma William, reporting for UBC.
Beautiful initiative there, and thank you, Baguma William, for that report. In more news, the Minister for Works and Transport, General Edward Katumba Wamala, has commended the good working relationship between Uganda and the DRC, which has enabled the two countries develop socially and economically. This was revealed during a meeting between Minister Katumba and his Congolese counterpart, John Banza Lunda, at Peak Resort Hotel in Munyonyo.
Construction works of over 60% of the 84-kilometer gravel roads from Kasindi, Beni, 54-kilometer Beni Butebo, and 89-kilometer Bunagana border Rushuru Goma in DRC are progressing well. The Minister for Works and Transport, General Edward Katumba Wamala, is grateful with the good working relationship between Uganda and the DR Congo that has enabled various projects to take place, hence increase in the volume of trade.
This is a strategic investment. When you want the roads to be done in Uganda, we must find the money. The economy must improve. We should earn the money to be able to do the roads in Uganda. We cannot earn that money by sitting down and doing nothing.
General Katumba Wamala was speaking during a ministerial meeting of the Minister for Works and Transport of Uganda and his DRC counterpart, John Banza Lunda, Minister of Infrastructure and Public Works. at Speak Resort Hotel in Munyonyo. During the meeting, the two ministers also signed a joint communique. Construction of roads connecting Uganda and the DRC are strategic in nature, meant to ensure cross-border business and movement of people and improve security.
You have already had, before the construction started, the trade volume between us was $578 million. Today, even before the road is finished, it's $1.2 billion.
The DRC Minister for Infrastructure and Public Works, John Baza Lunda, commended President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and Felix Tshisekedi of DRC for their commitment to socially and economically improve and develop the two sister countries.
We are pushing, as you have already said, so that the works can go very quickly.
Mon collègue de l'Ouganda a proposé une stratégie pour
gagner du temps. From Uganda has proposed a strategy for gaining time.
C'est de concentrer les équipements qui étaient prévus pour la deuxième phase et de concentrer sur la première phase.
To concentrate the equipment which was meant for the second phase.
Members of the Kampala Customs Agents SACCO have been urged to strengthen their savings culture and make great use of cooperative financial systems to improve their economic well-being. The call was made during the SACCO's annual general meeting held at Lishi Resort Hotel in Chisasi, Ntinda, where members gathered to review the cooperative's performance and chart strategies for future growth.
It is achievable provided you and me see life beyond today.
The chairperson of Kampala Customs Agents SACCO, Didan Motatinesi, has emphasized the importance of unity, disciplined saving and responsible borrowing among members. Speaking during the annual general meeting at Lishi Resort Hotel, Motatinesi noted that the SACCO continues to provide accessible financial support to professionals in the customs clearing and forwarding sector.
When we came into this, our purpose, our role was to put the SACCO in order to organize ourselves, because customs agents have always been known as informal people, but we said no, this time around we can do things better. That is how we were able to start with working on the credit policy, a document that guides us on how we manage our loans that we extend to members. And now we are embarking on looking at a bigger document that looks at investment, where we want to expand our investments, where we want to grow our risk appetite.
The meeting was also addressed by the chairperson of the Uganda Clearing Industry and Forwarding Association, William Namutale, who commended members for strengthening financial cooperation within the clearing and forwarding industry. He urged them to remain committed to the SACCO as a reliable platform for economic empowerment and financial stability.
The main objectives is social welfare, to help ourselves in the fraternity. If anybody has a problem, he can have where to run to. That's the main. But the other, apart from the social, is also development, our self-development. We need to develop from this area as a group, from developing our companies, developing ourselves as individuals, as customs clearing agents. But again, we go and develop the whole fraternity. We have an objective of also owning a bond.
A savings and credit cooperative organization, SACCO, is a member-owned financial institution where individuals with shared interests pool savings to access affordable loans. In Uganda, SACCOs are registered under the Cooperative Societies Act and supervised by the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. Through such initiatives, customs sector professionals are strengthening financial resilience and promoting a culture of saving.
Now, dear viewer, let's revisit our first report, which has new details emerging. We established earlier that President Yoweri Museveni has taken over as chairperson of the East African Community, succeeding Kenya's President William Ruto at the 25th Ordinary Summit of Heads of State held in Arusha, Tanzania. The summit also appointed Tanzanian diplomat Ambassador Stephen Patrick Mbundi as the new Secretary General of the regional bloc. Take a look.
President Museveni has assumed the rotating leadership of the East African community during the 25th Ordinary Summit of Heads of State in Arusha.
We'll hand over the gavel to the incoming chair, and the chair of the EAC Summit of Heads of State, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will assume the position of the chair.
He takes over the chairmanship at a time when partner states are seeking to strengthen cooperation, enforce financial discipline, and push for the region's integration agenda. In his address to the delegates, President Museveni thanked the outgoing chair, President William Ruto, for his stewardship of the community over the past year. Museveni said the ambitions of East African countries can only be realized if the region pays close attention to strategic security and cooperation among partner states.
Umoja for economic prosperity through economic integration in order to create big markets to support the efforts of the African wealth creators, and Umoja for political integration where possible to create strategic security for the black race on land.
He warned that East Africans must unite and work together or risk remaining marginal players in global affairs.
In my view, I have always held that it is mandatory to unite or risk perpetual marginalization. How about political integration? In the case of East Africa, we the Pan-Africanists have never relented. Ever since the student days in the 1960s, we have been struggling for that integration, supporting our elder Pan-Africanists, Mwalimu Nyerere, Abeid Karume, Kenneth Kaunda, Arap Moi, etc. With Mzee Kibaki, Mzee Mkapa, President Kagame, President Nkurunziza, we called for the fast tracking of the federation in the year 2014.
Earlier, the outgoing chair, President William Ruto, outlined a number of reforms adopted at the summit aimed at strengthening the operations of the community.
A key obstacle to trade in our region is the ever-evolving non-tariff barriers that continue to hinder effective trade between and among partner states. Eliminating NTBs, enhancing infrastructure connectivity, and regulatory harmonization remain a key priority among my stewardship of the community. I am therefore pleased to inform you that our concerted efforts to eliminate non-tariff barriers have yielded results.
Under a new funding framework that takes effect in July 2026, partner states will contribute to the EAC budget using a revised formula. President Ruto also said partner states with significant arrears will receive a 50% waiver on their outstanding contributions, but must clear the remaining balance within 2 years. The reforms come as the East African community continues to expand from its founding members, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, to 8 partner states including Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Somalia.
Thank you, Senono, for that report. Now, as Uganda joins the rest of the world to celebrate the International Women's Day, access to justice for women and girls in Uganda remains a critical challenge driven by deep-seated patriarchal cultural norms, high legal costs, and limited legal awareness. Farida Namfuka engaged advocates for women's rights who expressed the need for government to increase on the number of judicial officers across the country to administer access to justice for all women and girls.
Despite the progressive laws, women and girls in Uganda face significant barriers in reporting gender-based violence, with many cases handled by informal systems that often favor men. However, as Uganda joins the rest of the world to celebrate the International Women's Day, advocates for women's rights are putting focus on how best women and girls can best access justice in Uganda's judicial systems amidst spiral challenges like economic and social barriers. This has attracted high costs of legal representation and transport to urban court centers that hinder access for justice to many women and girls who cannot afford.
Legal aid service providers that has been available. We must also credit the government, the state, for the work that they have done around ensuring that policy, we do have the Domestic Violence Act in place, we have an FGM Act in place.
We also have the Legal Aid Bill 2022, which is a law intended to ensure that every vulnerable person, a woman, a girl, gets justice through legal representation, effective and quality.
Kemigisha Elizabeth is the advocate manager, Uganda Association of Women Lawyers, FIDA, says the increase of cases of gender-based violence reported by women and girls pose an imminent threat to their lives.
Many people may not report, because of fear of stigma, because of fear that they may not get the solution they want, because of fear that the system may not be able to agree with them.
At the epicenter of limited access to justice for women in Uganda are cultural norms. These are deeply ingrained patriarchy, practices like wife sharing and widow inheritance that continues to undermine women's rights. In the temple of justice in Uganda, often courts are open. Women and girls are seen in the corridors attempting to seek for justice, but their efforts at the tail end are shut down by legal fees and the sophisticated court procedures.
Today, that justice is, seeking justice is very expensive. You need to pay money, for example, if you need to have witnesses come to testify and give evidence for your case. Women are not able to access justice because the language of court is frowned upon. The language of court is known to only a few.
Several areas in certain, especially upcountry districts, we have seen cultural norms, especially the power or the power that cultural leaders enjoy, sometimes not being used positively, right? We've seen instances where bride price is returned actually after a separation or a divorce.
On the other side is the systematic gaps that contribute to a significant case backlog in the formal court system, along with low levels of legal literacy among women that hampers justice.
For example, if it's a case of defilement and this case has been in court for 5, 6, 7 years, the victim or the survivor is now an adult. We are not sure if the evidence is still preserved.
You will find that in courts of law, you'll find that majority of the cases or the suspects on remand, when you ask them to stand, you will see majority are being charged with defilement. They defiled, but the cases are languishing in what? In the system. And that means the women are not getting justice.
Miss the issue of corruption. Corruption has also continued to be an issue, and many times it's because of either ignorance of people or because of lack of confidence in the system.
Trekking long distances to access judicial facilities like courts, serving vast regions with few judicial officers who appear once or twice a week in hard-to-reach areas of Uganda has in one way or the other affected the accessibility of justice to women and girls.
There's a gap in the judiciary. Currently, FIDA is operating in that region where there is Pakwach, Yumbe, Madiokolo and Zombo, and they are using the one chief magistrate's court in Nebi. And all those areas, we know because of the locations, because of the socio-economic status there, people are unable to access justice because there's only one court.
The limited knowledge of police investigators to handle forensic cases of sexual abuse and murder have affected evidence adduced before the Directorate of Public Prosecution, DPP, often on account of tampering with the scene of crime, either knowingly or unknowingly, hence affecting accessibility to fair justice for women and girls who are always victims in the circumstance.
The Child and Family Protection Units or the GBV desks at the police stations need to be very well equipped. Very well equipped. Number one, with capacitated officers, with officers that are aware about investigating these cases in a survivor-centered way that will not further victimize the complainant.
We still have clients that are demanded for 25,000 shillings for the police form 3, which is critical evidence in especially sexual violence cases. And that's so absurd.
Despite the challenges at play, there are alternative avenues that women and girls in Uganda can explore to access justice.
It's plea bargaining. And plea bargaining is very important, especially for reducing case backlog.
Between different families in succession matters as they, on their route to access maybe letters of administration. So mediation, and both mediations at FIDA and court annexed mediations have also been very important.
However, the possibility to protect citizens' rights remains with government through constructing court premises across the country for easy accessibility of judicial services.
A big part of our budget goes to security, but domestic violence and GBV is also a matter of security. But how much of that goes to the GBV unit, for example, at the police headquarters?
If police has a role to play in enforcement of the law, they should not hide under, we don't have resources, we have not received this vote. They should be able to push and get those resources in their budget and planning. They should be able to prioritize investigating cases of gender-based violence.
Important for us to handle the issue of backlog, invest more sessions, more special sessions in the different regions to be able to clear backlog. More mobile legal aid clinics.
Efforts to improve access to justice for women and girls in Uganda will include, among other entitles, the UN Women Justice for Her project and the legal aid services from organizations like FIDA Uganda, which focus on providing free legal representation and combating gender-based violence. I'm Navka Farida in Kampala.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight, huh? For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later, huh?
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
It's back, bigger and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
Are you looking for a home away from home? Then this is the place for you. My name is Chini Kaji, and welcome to Hotel Le Confidential. With 84 comfortable rooms where you can relax and feel safe. Each room has a lovely view of green vegetation, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and a tasty breakfast.
Children can have fun at our kids' water park and our kids' play area. You can also enjoy our world-class health club, spa, sauna, gym, boutique, and sky blue swimming pool.
Thank you for choosing Hotel Le Confidential, where every stay is unforgettable. Come and stay in comfort, right at home, today, tomorrow, and always.
In 2024, Uganda recorded 37,000 new HIV infections and 20,000 AIDS-related deaths, a situation that calls for collective efforts if the country is to achieve its target of ending AIDS by 2030.
Somebody infecting another person. So there's no way you can say men cannot be infected, only women can be infected. So from the simple fact that people can infect one another, there's no logic in saying that only women should test. It should be everybody. It's just logical.
Together, we can end AIDS in Uganda. Every second counts. Let's act now. This message is brought to you by Uganda AIDS Commission, Office of the President.
So, Muchala.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight, huh? For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later, huh?
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
Welcome back from the break, but unfortunately that's about how much we had for you in this first segment of UBC News Tonight. My name is Moureen Babirye with my colleague Mohamed Mogalu on sign language. Up next is the Business Roundup. Enjoy.